This is the stinky toe fruit, and I'm going to open it in just a bit and try the fruit dry or mixed in with a drink, as I've heard it's taken. But to start with, let's have a look at the shell. The shell's pretty tough. It's fairly heavy, fairly dense, and as you shake it you can feel a lump moving around inside, just one single piece inside, which we'll look at later. The shell is tough, it's hard, you won't be able to break it unless you really hit it hard with a rock or stamp on it hard and it's on a rock or something hard. But it's distinguished by a double lip on one side, and as it reaches the end it goes round until the stalk just on a single lip. The shells themselves are about 5, 6, 7 inches long, 1.5 inches, 2 inches wide, and they're a dark sort of maroon colour. It's one of the largest fruit I've found, about 7 or 8 inches long. Try this later at home. In milk and sugar. The texture is rough, like leather, a bit harder, but exactly the same that you'd expect some leather to be after a bit of wear. You can have a good look here at how it is. That's another way to identify it. Apart from after you touch it, your fingers will definitely have this pungent odour from the oils that are inside the shell. Here in Panama it's February and they're falling off the tree at the moment, but when you open it there is a very distinctive odour, and that will be apparent very soon. So I can't wait to get home and try these, eating them different ways and see what the taste is like. But before I taste this very strange fruit, let's have a quick look at the tree. They can grow up to 30 metres tall. And I've not been able to get at the leaves, so excuse that there are no shots of the leaves. But you can see how the bark is. Here we have our toe stink fruit, or stinky toe fruit, goes by many, many other names. They look kind of like sausages. Let's see what it tastes like. It's very powdery and dry, and immediately there's a very distinctive odour, and it's hard to describe. It's just very pungent, and it's something that you might associate with some kind of cleaning or some kind of perfume, perhaps not your favourite perfume, but maybe an ingredient that's somewhere in the mix. And it has been used actually in perfumes and in other different applications, which I'll tell you about later, or in the information below this video. One thing we've noticed as we handle these, and it wasn't apparent at first, is that there's a very pungent odour, and it takes probably about 5 or 6 good washes to just get rid of it from your hands. It's just very, very pungent, and after handling the fruit here inside, again my hands just stink of this. It's definitely a very distinctive smell. There are seeds inside each section, and around it this yellow pale powder. So let's give it a go. It's very dry and smooth. It reminds me of something. It's a slight taste of carob. Very, very distant sort of cacao kind of taste. It is very dry. Let's try a bit more. It's a little bit sweet, very smooth. It's not gritty at all. And one thing you need to do when you're trying this is have some water ready, because it is quite dry in the mouth and a little bit sticky. because of that dryness, a bit like, say, if you were eating flour. But the taste isn't bad like you would expect from the smell. It's definitely a reasonable taste that you could imagine as an ingredient, as indigenous people have used it in many different ways over the centuries. And it's something that I can imagine putting some sugar with it, or baking with it, and certainly you could become accustomed to the taste. For me, it is a bit unusual, but you can definitely see there's some potential there. Let's break off all this. So you've got something surrounded. This is like a seed. It's surrounded by all this powder. Because it's hard under there, you can hear. And here we have two seeds, just smaller than a quarter, and one's beginning to sprout. Inside here you've got the seeds stacked along. I'm not sure what you can do with the seeds themselves, but besides obviously plant them to get more trees, but I'll find out and put the information below the video if there's anything interesting about the seeds as well. But there you go, stinky toe fruit, and so powdery. Look at that. Here I've got some of the fruit, and I'm going to see what it tastes like with the milk and add sugar if necessary. So here goes. I'm just going to gently remove this powder off the seed. You can see it's incredibly powdery. And when you eat it straight like this, it's very dry in the mouth. Some say it's like eating dried milk powder, something like that, dry flour. So now I've got the powder, what I'm going to do is just sort it out into the finer parts. So it's going to hopefully blend reasonably well into the milk. Some of you may have a liquidizer. Here we have it. Let's give it another shake. Here it goes. Smells peculiar. No, I'm not into that. It's not bad. It's got something to it, like this pungent aroma that comes through, and it's more in the aroma department than the actual flavour itself on the tongue. And it's more through the nose that you get this kind of Old Spice, kind of perfumey, dried kind of flowers your grandma leaves in around the house in these bowls kind of thing, potpourri. I'm sure some people will find it quite attractive, and some of you won't. So I'd recommend trying it. It's really something quite subjective. But I'm going to, for the sake of science, try it with a bit of sugar now, just to be fair. And here goes. Let's see what happens. This is very popular in some places. In Jamaica, the kids like to eat it like a sweet. And in Colombia, people have told me they do as well sometimes. Okay, that's actually better with the sugar in there. It's brown sugar that I've added with the milk, and that's a lot more easy on the taste buds. It's still quite a new flavour, and it's something I imagine if you grow up with, you're accustomed to it, you really like it and you can appreciate it. For some other people, it will take a little bit of getting used to. The flavour is just something you'll have to try for yourself. It's possibly got some kind of trace of cereal kind of flavours in there, and other flavours like maybe mild, very mild watered down cacao, or very mild watered down flour, or even very, very mild vanilla or tonka bean, something like that. But it's definitely a unique experience. Try it for yourself and see what you think.